The school bully has 2 tattoos on his collarbone. On the left is ENGSUB. On the right is motorcycle. He once publicly said that the left side is life, and the right side is love, and the girl's name abbreviation is exactly ENGSUB. The classmates in the class have secretly shipped the 2 of them as a couple, and the girl really did have a crush on the school bully for 3 years. On the day of the graduation party, school bully Xiaoheng laid out a playground full of violets, preparing to confess his love to the girl with the collarbone. I like violets. Many people in the class know that. So the girl waited all night with joy. Finally, she couldn't help but run to the playground to find him. But I never thought I'd see the police escorting Xiaoheng, covered in blood, into the car. When the girl ran to the side, he turned back to meet her tearful eyes, his eyes full of sorrow. At that moment, the girl felt like she was falling into an abyss. How could he get into a fight at this point? How could his high school career end in this way? For the 4 years that Xiaoheng was in prison, Xi Shisheng counted down the days. He finally waited for him to be released. Xi Shisheng told himself to be brave. The brothers of the team know that Xiaoheng is coming out. Everyone is so excited. I set up a game at Twilight Club to get rid of old Lee's bad luck. Everyone's here, just waiting for tonight's main character. The private room was originally noisy, until the heavy glass door was pushed open. Xiaoheng came in. Everyone respectfully called out in unison, "Mr. Xiao." Xiaoheng waved his hand, signaling them to sit down. He sauntered to the head of the table, and leaned lazily against the leather sofa. His long legs were casually propped on the glass table in front of him. He lit a cigarette. His face was already naturally attractive, adding to that his arrogant and unrestrained posture, his practically walking hormones. That wildness in Xiaoheng matches this kind of place perfectly. Unruly, unrestrained, growing wildly. The hostesses in the club are all stirring because of Xiaoheng's appearance. Those who have been in the business for a while have all heard of Xiaoheng. Who doesn't know that Master Xiao of the capital spends money like water? The important thing is, who can resist that wild charm? If anyone catches his eye, wouldn't their life be amazing? But he has a volatile temper, and his suppressed ferocity is chilling. It has forced these girls back. Although Xiaoheng is a regular in nightclubs, but he's the kind who flits through the flowers, never letting a petal touch him. "Xiaoyang, will you do me the honor of a drink?" The one speaking is a girl in a revealing little tank top. She's young, looks quite innocent. He's holding a wine glass in his right hand, and his left hand boldly and slowly reaches Xiaoheng's shoulder. Rotate. The little nail art was especially dazzling on his black clothes. The other girls saw him, and boldly moved closer to Xiaoheng. They all sat down next to him. Xiaoheng glanced at him wearily, silently telling him to get the hell away. "Your smell is suffocating me. This kind of gutless woman. The perfume on her is so strong it stings." Xiaoheng felt nauseous smelling it. All he saw was swirling smoke. His chiseled face seemed real and unreal in the floating smoke. The men in the private room heard Xiaoheng's words, and burst into laughter. Xiao Yi really lives up to his name. Even the top girl at Twilight can't catch Xiao Yi's eye. Our Xiao Yi has his own rules. We can play and have fun, but he doesn't joke around with women who sell themselves. Quick, move away a bit. Don't make Xiao Yi unhappy. Someone's interested. He's quite curious about what kind of woman Xiaoheng likes. "Xiaoheng, you have such high standards. What kind of girl can catch your eye?" Xiaoheng flicks off his cigarette ash. The cold, melancholic, and somewhat arrogant face immediately appears in his mind. At this moment, in the Xie family's mansion, the lights weren't on in Xie Shishing's room. He sat hugging his knees on the wool rug in front of the French window. The dim yellow light from the garden lamps shone in. He lowered his eyes and stared at his phone. The string of numbers in his contacts was Yuan Yi's phone number. It was the only way he could contact Xiaoheng. Back then, Xiaoheng didn't have time to write in his yearbook. He didn't have time to leave his contact information. I didn't even get to hear his confession. Xi Shisheng struggled in her heart. Finally, she made the call. He's waited hard for these 4 years. How many 4 years does one have in a lifetime? Love can't stand waiting. Yuan Yi, who was holding and playing with Miss Ju, heard his phone ring. I felt disappointed, seeing it still a string of unknown numbers. I impatiently pressed the answer button and turned on the speaker. I put the phone on the table and said, "Hello." The noisy sound of a private room came from the phone's receiver into Xie Shisheng's ears. He could guess where this was. "I'm Xie Shisheng from Jingcheng International High School." Hearing this name, Xiaoheng, who was next to him, suddenly stiffened. Who Xie Shisheng was, Yuan Yi didn't know. She was the girl Xiaoheng had a crush on for 3 years in high school. That violet tree. He accompanied Xiaoheng to buy it. Yuan Yi looked helplessly at Xiaoheng beside him, with his indifferent expression. He pointed at the phone. Xiaoheng glanced at it, looking indifferent. A casual and unrestrained smile played on his face. He grabbed a glass of wine from the side and downed it in one go. Xiaoheng's large, well-defined hands toyed with the glass. He listened to their banter with a pale face, as if he'd never known them. Xie Shisheng is the same, only he knows his emotions. He looks calm on the surface, but his heart is already stormy. "Hello, is this student Yuan Yi?" Yuan Yi pushed away Miss Pei Ju beside him, picked up the phone and answered, "Yes, it's me." When Shisheng heard Yuan Yi's voice, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. As long as she could contact him, she could definitely find Xiaoheng and apologize. "I'm sorry to bother you so late. I wanted to ask, do you know Xiaoheng's number? He was released from prison today, right?" Yuan Yi was surprised to hear the corporal asking about Xiaoheng. Could it be that this girl is also interested in his Heng Jie? That's right, Heng Jie was released from prison today. Then can you give me his number? I need to talk to him. Yuan Yi scratched his head awkwardly. Back then, Xiaoheng loved Xie Shisheng to death, but he didn't dare to disturb her. The love I've suppressed for 3 years, before it could even see the light of day, was replaced by prison. If Xie Shisheng really is interested in Xiaoheng, then Yuan Yi naturally hopes that Xiaoheng can have a future with him. But Xiaoheng hasn't spoken. So how dare he act without permission? Before he could figure out how to tell Xie Shisheng, the phone in his hand was snatched away by Xiaoheng. After he hung up, he threw the phone heavily on the table. Then he turned around and continued drinking with people. His expression was normal. You couldn't read any emotion. He didn't say a word. Xie Shisheng listened to the phone. The receiver emitted a beep, beep, beep sound. His heart tightened. He failed to make a connection. Just as he was about to redial, a WeChat friend request popped up on the screen. The message said, "Heng was holding orchids 4 years ago, ready to confess his feelings to you. If you also like him, come to Twilight Club." Xie Shisheng's question of many years finally got a definite answer. His hunch was right. Xiaoheng was going to confess to him on graduation day. He just likes him. Xie Shisheng immediately changed and went out. He ran into Xie Shichen. As soon as he came out of the room, Xie Shisheng saw him dressed neatly, looking rushed. He frowned and asked, "Sheng, it's almost 12 o'clock. Where are you going?" "Meow Meow is drunk at the bar. I'll go pick him up. That's what best friends are for, to cover for you." Jiang Meow is currently sleeping soundly in bed. How could she be drinking too much and getting drunk at a bar? This Jiang Meow is really a lush. A hint of worry flashed across Xie Shishun's face. "I'll go with you." "No need, Xie Shichun, my brain is working fast." He's actually a terrible liar. He stutters every time he lies. He's heartbroken. Yeah, he's in a bad mood. He's ugly when he's drunk. I can't let anyone see him. So you can't marry me. Just have the driver take me there. I'll be back soon after I take him home. You don't have to worry. After dealing with Xie Shichen, he trotted out, got in the car, and chatted a lot with Yuan Yi on the way. Yuan Yi told him that Xiaoheng had been interested in him since high school, and still misses him to this day. So he liked him in high school too. So everything back then wasn't just his wishful thinking. All the love had traces. At the Twilight Club, Xie Shisheng got out of the car, and told the driver to wait for him at the entrance. He went in alone. It's not like he's never been to a place like this. Jiang Yumiao likes to play. Xie Shisheng often came here to pick up Jiang Yumiao when he was drunk, so he's quite familiar with Twilight Clubhouse. As soon as he entered, he smelled the pungent smell of alcohol, mixed with a strong tobacco smell. He couldn't help but frown. It never closes here. Figures swayed on the dance floor. Xie Shisheng kisses Gaog. From the moment Xie Shisheng came in, many men's eyes were fixed on him. He endured the measuring gazes of those men, and quickly went upstairs, towards the private room upstairs. Xie Shisheng stood at the door of the private room and took a deep breath. Mustering his courage, he pushed open the heavy metal and glass door, and the noisy clamor rushed into his ears. The eyes of the men and women in the booth looked at him in unison. Xie Shisheng stood at the entrance of the booth, under the dim light. He wore that cold and gloomy face. When he appeared in front of Xiaoheng, his breathing was completely messed up. 4 years, he still looks the way he remembers him. Not much has changed. The youthful naivety has faded away. His features are cool and refined. Xie Shisheng at 22 is much more mature than he was at 16 or 17. Those amorous eyes are still so captivating. Yuan Yi glanced at Xiaoheng guiltily. He had told Xie Shisheng the address without permission. He'll probably get a good scolding later. Damn, where did this fairy come from? Anyone who comes is a guest. Come in and join us, beautiful. Someone in the room joked around, and someone even brazenly whistled a rogue's tune at Xie Shisheng. Just a bunch of cynical good-for-nothings. They all look like this when they see a pretty girl. She ignored the noisy and chaotic sounds in the booth, and fixed her gaze on Xiaoheng. Her voice, clear and ethereal, called out to him, "Xiaoheng." Everyone in the room's gaze. It all fell on Xiaoheng. It seems this little fairy came with a purpose. She looked for their boss as soon as she came in. He paused for a moment. Then he stood up from the sofa, and strode towards him. The moment she got close to him, "Xiaoheng," I smelled that familiar fragrance of his again. My heart was racing. He grabbed Xie Shisheng's wrist, and pulled him to the emergency exit. The moment he closed the stairwell door, he shut out the deafening music outside. Xiaoheng released Xie Shisheng's wrist, and directly wiped it a couple of times, reliving the touch of his tender skin. "What do you want?" He lowered his eyelids. He avoided eye contact with a nonchalant attitude. Shi Shisheng looked up at Xiaoheng, whom he hadn't seen in 4 years. His heart was extremely bitter. He had so much to say to him, but he didn't know where to start. He tugged at his clothes, hesitant to speak. Do you remember me? I have some memory of you. Shi Shisheng, right? Xiaoheng slowly took out a cigarette case from his pocket, and pulled out a cigarette. He was about to light it, when he realized someone was nearby. He was standing there putting the lighter away. He held the cigarette in his mouth, unlit. The Xiao family mentioned a marriage alliance with my father. He raised his clear, watery eyes to look at him. Xiaoheng had an indifferent, detached attitude. He took the cigarette out of his mouth. He licked the corner of his lips and smiled. My child is already 2 years old. You have no chance. Not with him, but with you. You're too shy. His ears are already bright red. Marry you. Are you willing? Xiaoheng frowned. His breathing was irregular. If it were 4 years ago, he would definitely agree without hesitation. I just got out of prison. Do you know what a former convict is? You're an innocent young girl. You want to be involved with me. He chuckled self-deprecatingly. You're in good shape. You shouldn't lack for men who love you, right? Shi Shisheng heard him say the words, former convict. My heart aches. Then you're a man too. Do you love me? Xiaoheng straightened up. Then he lowered his head and chuckled. Where do you get your confidence? Shi Shisheng suddenly took 2 steps forward. Xiaoheng subconsciously backed away. He distanced himself from him. Seeing him step back, he wasn't happy. He took a big step towards him again, pulling at his clothes to prevent him from stepping back again. The two were so close. They could even hear each other's heartbeats. Xiaoheng smelled the faint fragrance on him again. His breathing gradually became heavier. His eyes darted around, afraid to look at him. He looked up and into Xiaoheng's eyes, gathering his courage. He asked, one sentence at a time, about the graduation party 4 years ago. When you confessed with the butterfly orchid, was it to me? No, he answered bluntly. Liar. Shi Shisheng's emotions weren't affected by his words in the slightest. Do you dare look me in the eyes and say it again? Do you think you're pretty? So narcissistic that you think all men should like you? Shi Shisheng stared into his eyes, scrutinizing him. Suddenly, she laughed inappropriately, and with her slender fingers, gently, tapped him on the chest. Xiaoheng, you're flustered. The stairwell was unusually quiet. Shi Shisheng, face flushed, bravely confessed her love to him. He swallowed. His Adam's apple bobbed. Shi Shisheng was pressing so close to him. He was afraid his defenses would crumble at any moment. Xiaoheng's mind struggled to stay clear. She's ignorant, but he can't and doesn't know better. Shi Shisheng is a snow lotus blooming on the Qianshan mountains, pure and noble, untainted by the world. Xiaoheng won't allow him to be associated with himself. He is dirty. Xiaoheng, you like me too, right? He was hot and tense all over, desperately holding back. But his face still wore a carefree, rebellious air, with a hint of dominance in his eyes. No, Shi Shisheng, I don't believe you don't like me. Then why are you nervous? He licked the corner of his lips, and gave a soft hum. I'm a man and you're a woman. You're so close to me. Can't I have a physiological reaction? Xiaoheng, aren't you afraid of anything? Then why don't you dare to admit you like me? Shi Shisheng raised her clear, watery eyebrows, her eyes full of affection. Why won't you admit it? He looked at him with a long sigh, asking word by word why he would admit it. Did he dare to admit it? Xiaoheng, so flamboyant and unrestrained in high school, would feel inferior in front of him. Not to mention him now, a former convict. He dared not covet this dazzling and radiant pearl. Xiaoheng put his hands in his pockets, feigning ease, acting all nonchalant. How would I know what the hell I'm admitting to? Admitting you like me. Your eyes betrayed layers of careful calculation. Since you say the moth orchids at the graduation party weren't for me, then who were they from? You, Xiaoheng, looked unnatural. I unconsciously clenched my teeth. How could he know that after every high school party, you always ask the class monitor to send me flowers in the name of the class? Isn't that right? Xiaoheng chuckled. So what? Does that mean I liked you? Shi Shisheng really couldn't figure it out. The arrogant Master Xiao, who feared nothing, was actually a coward. He understood that Xiaoheng was doing it for his own good. But Shi Shisheng felt that Xiaoheng was pushing him away. That meant he saw through his love for him. He was cutting ties with him on his own accord. But him being good was predicated on him being by his side. Xiaoheng, are you even a man? Admitting your feelings, it's not going to kill you. Even I, a girl, am braver than you. If you keep pretending, you're just being affected. Xiaoheng finally stopped denying it. He lowered his head and chuckled self-deprecatingly. You're right. I did like you in high school. But I don't like you now. I'm just a sentimental person. I like a lot of girls. Did you see all the women in the booth just now? I like them all. You're just one of them. If Shi Shisheng hadn't talked to Yuan Yi on the way here, I'm afraid she'd be fooled by what he just said. No matter how heartless he sounds, Shi Shisheng won't believe you don't like me. It's because you feel you've been in prison, and feel you're not good enough for me. Now I'm telling you clearly. I don't care. I always believe love can overcome all difficulties. Shi Shisheng hooked Xiaoheng's clothes with his finger. His tone suddenly softened. I've waited for you for 4 years. Please don't push me away, okay? Xiao Heng swallowed. He forced himself to calm down. He loved him more than he loved himself. Xiao Heng always felt that he deserved a good match. It's just that this good match isn't him. His voice was very soft and deep. Goodbye. I'm not worth it. Whether you're worth it is my decision. Her eyes revealed a hint of stubbornness. What do you like about me? I've been in prison. I'm in my 20s and I've achieved nothing. Fighting, cars, nightclubs. I'm just a good-for-nothing bum. People even call me a bastard. What do you even like about me? She shook her head. Tears welled up in her eyes. Just because you're a failure now, doesn't mean you always will be. You're only 22. Your life has just begun. Don't let the bad things that happened bury yourself in the abyss forever, okay? Xie Shishing's heart was twisting with pain. His nose was numb and sour. His voice was tinged with a sob. You're not a bastard. I won't allow you to say that about yourself. Xie Shishing, I remember you being cold and aloof in high school. How come you're now actively clinging to men? Where's your pride? When you love deeply, what pride is left to speak of? Jiaxing approached Xiao Heng step by step. Xiao Heng retreated step by step. If this continues, the sound of his heartbeat will give him away sooner or later. Xiao Heng's back hit the wall. There was nowhere to retreat. Hu Ji rolled a knife down from above. He couldn't stand him being so close. He carefully observed his reaction. She suddenly chuckled inappropriately. She tiptoed, looked up, and gently blew on his face. The warm breath landed on his cheek. Xiao Heng's heart seemed to skip a beat. Then it accelerated violently, like his ribs were being struck. A numb, electric feeling spread through his whole body. Your acting is terrible. You're not convincing at all.